In the ancient kingdom of Agudike, there lived a woman named Ijeoma. She was known across the village for her beauty and kindness, but her life was plagued by poverty. Her husband had died many years ago, leaving her alone to raise their only son, Nnamdi, who was 10 years old. Despite the hard life, Ijeoma found joy in the laughter of her son and the hope he gave her for a better future. But fate had other plans. One day, a mysterious and powerful storm swept through Agudike. The sky turned dark and thunder rumbled in the distance. The villagers scrambled to find shelter. But as Ijeoma was securing their small hut, she realized Nnamdi was missing. Panic gripped her heart. She rushed out into the storm, calling for her son, her voice lost in the howling wind. She searched everywhere. The market, the riverbank, the dense forest, but Nnamdi had disappeared without a trace. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Ijeoma scoured the kingdom for any sign of him, but no one had seen her boy. She visited every diviner and priest in the land, and one day she was directed to an old and powerful sorcerer named Ezeme. His dwelling lay deep in the forest, hidden away from the eyes of ordinary mortals. Ezeme was known for making dark bargains, the kind that require sacrifices. Desperate and broken, Ijeoma went to him. "Please," she begged, falling to her knees, "help me find my son." Ezeme, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim light of his hut, stared at her for a long moment. He motioned for her to sit, then whispered in a deep, haunting voice, "Your son is not gone, Ijeoma. He has been taken, but to bring him back will cost you more than you can imagine." Ijeoma's heart leapt. "I will give you anything, my life if you must. Just bring back my Nnamdi back to me." Ezeme leaned closer, his breath cold against her skin. "Not your life, no. I do not need that. But there is something else, a power beyond your wildest dreams. Wealth, unimaginable wealth will be yours if you agree to my terms. But the price is steep. For every coin you gain, you will lose a piece of your soul. And when the last piece is gone, so too will your son be forever." A chill crept down Ijeoma's spine. "Wealth? I don't want wealth. I just want my son," she cried. The sorcerer's eyes narrowed. "You speak now in desperation, but hear my words carefully. The wealth will be yours, and your son will return. But you must accept the cost that comes with it. You cannot choose one without the other. The moment you accept the riches, the countdown begins. You will have 5 years. 5 years to enjoy your wealth, but with every year, you will lose a piece of yourself. After those 5 years, if you have not broken the curse, your son will be taken forever, and nothing in this world or the next can bring him back." Torn by grief and desperation, Ijeoma hesitated. She had nothing, no way to find her son without Ezeme's help, and yet the thought of losing him forever was unbearable. Still, the lure of the wealth, the thought of giving her son a life free from suffering, made her pause. "What must I do?" she asked, her voice trembling. Ezeme handed her a small black stone, etched with ancient symbols. "Take this stone to the river at midnight tonight. Drop it into the water, and the curse will begin. Your son will return before dawn, but from that moment on, you must not speak of the bargain you've made, or the cost will accelerate. The wealth will come to you in ways you cannot imagine. But remember, 5 years, and no one must know." That night, with a heavy heart, Ijeoma went to the river as instructed. The moon was full, casting eerie sounds and shadows over the water. With shaking hands, she dropped the stone into the river. The water rippled, glowing faintly before returning to its natural calm. She returned home, filled with dread and anticipation. As promised, at dawn, Nnamdi walked through the door. Ijeoma wept with joy, clutching him tightly. Her son was alive, he was safe, but as she held him, a strange feeling washed over her. and unease she couldn't shake. Within a week, Ijeoma's life changed completely. Her small worn-out hut transformed into a great mansion. Gold and jewels appeared out of thin air. Villagers came to her with offerings, praising her newfound wealth. Everything she had ever dreamed of was now at her fingertips. She could buy anything, go anywhere, and offer Nnamdi the best life imaginable. But strange things began to happen. In the first year, Ijeoma noticed her reflection in the mirror would sometimes disappear. She did stand before it, and for a brief moment it was as if she didn't exist. Nnamdi would look at her oddly, as though seeing something she couldn't. She struggled it off, focusing instead on the life of luxury she had built. By the second year, whispers followed her wherever she went. People in the village spoke of her in hushed tones, and some said they saw shadows around her house that moved naturally. Nnamdi too became distant, as though a veil had fallen between them. He would wake up screaming from nightmare, claiming to see things in the dark corners of their home. By the third year, Ijeoma's health began to falter. Though she looked youthful and beautiful on the outside, she felt a darkness growing inside of her. She tried to enjoy her wealth, but it felt like sand slipping through her fingers. The more she had, the emptier she felt. Nnamdi, now a young man, grew more sullen and withdrawn. He rarely smiled, and when he looked at her, there was fear in his eyes. In the fourth year, strange marks began to appear on Ijeoma's body. They were faint at first, like tiny scratches, but soon they grew into intricate symbols that burned under her skin. She tried to hide them from Nnamdi, but he noticed. One night he confronted her, demanding to know the truth. "Mother, something is wrong. You're not the same. What did you do to bring me back? What are you hiding?" Ijeoma's heart broke. She couldn't tell him. She couldn't risk the cost accelerating. So she lied, telling him it was nothing, just the price of their new life. But deep down, she knew the clock was ticking. As the fifth year approached, Ijeoma was a shadow of herself. The world had lost its meaning. She no longer felt joy, no longer felt alive. The curse had consumed her, piece by pieces. The mansion, once vibrant and grand, now felt like a tomb. On the eve of the fifth year, Ezeme appeared in her dreams, his eyes glowing with malice. "Time is running out, Ijeoma. Your son's fate is sealed unless you break the curse." Terrified, Ijeoma awoke, knowing there was only one way to end the curse. She would have to make the ultimate sacrifice, her life for her son's freedom. In the final moments of the fifth year, as the shadows grew longer and the symbols on her body glowed with an eerie light, Ijeoma took Nnamdi to the river where it all began. She confessed everything, her voice trembling with fear and sorrow. Nnamdi, shocked and heartbroken, begged her to find another way, but there was no other way. As the clock struck midnight, Ijeoma stepped into the river, the water swirling around her. The air cracked with energy as the Queen of Wealth appeared, her face twisted with malice and amusement. "You have chosen wisely, Ijeoma," the Queen hissed. "The curse is broken, but the price must be paid." With that, the water rose, engulfing Ijeoma. She looked back at Nnamdi one last time, tears streaming down her face, and then she was gone. The wealth vanished, the mansion crumbled, but Nnamdi was free. And so Nnamdi learned that true wealth is not measured in gold or jewels, but in the love and sacrifice of those who care for us. Ijeoma's story became a legend in Agwadike, a cautionary tale of the dangers of seeking wealth at any cost. Guys, how did you see this my story? What do you think about it? For me, I believe that God is the only one that can give us a wealth that we don't have to pay back. That is why we have to put Him first in everything. May God bless all of us. Bye.